Every time Jack's rig broke down near Hawkins Hollow, locals whispered about bad luck and curses. But Jack, an ex-Army logistics veteran, sensed something darker. When the town's forgotten drunk muttered, "They want you stuck here," it sparked a dangerous truth, one that threatened to destroy powerful men protecting a secret sabotage ring. Now Jack must expose the conspiracy before his next breakdown traps him forever in the town's deadly web. Hit like and comment where you're watching from. Your support brings more amazing stories. Now let's begin. The rain pounded relentlessly against the windshield of Jack Reynolds' rig as he coasted down the lonely highway. At 42, Jack was no stranger to hardship. Years of service in the U.S. Army Logistics Corps had taught him discipline, patience, and how to stay calm when everything fell apart. After retiring, he took to the road, running his own rig, just like his father before him. But lately, something was wrong. His truck kept breaking down. Near the same forgotten town, Hawkins Hollow, where the locals whispered of bad luck and curses. Every time Jack pulled in, his rig seemed to betray him. Fuel leaks, faulty wiring, bolts coming loose without reason. He had trusted the town mechanics to fix the problem. But no matter how much he paid, the breakdowns always came back. The repairs felt rushed, and the parts they installed seemed cheap. Jack's military training told him there was more to this than mere coincidence. That night at a worn-out bar, where the flicker of neon signs barely lit the room, Jack found himself nursing a cold beer. The place smelled of stale smoke and forgotten dreams. Most patrons ignored him, except one figure hunched at the corner, the town drunk, who used to be the best mechanic around before losing everything. His name was Earl. Earl's eyes, though clouded, held a wary intelligence. As the bar emptied, he leaned toward Jack, voice low and trembling. "They want you stuck here," he muttered. Jack frowned, unsure if it was the whiskey or something deeper that made Earl's words chill him. The next morning, Jack's rig shuddered violently on the edge of town before grinding to a halt. Earl's words echoed in his mind. This was no accident. Someone was sabotaging him. Determined, Jack vowed to uncover the truth behind the bad luck whispered by Hawkins Hollow, and he knew it might cost him everything. Jack Reynolds sat on the cracked bench outside Hawkins Hollow's only garage, the faint scent of oil and rust lingering in the damp air. The rain had stopped, but the gray clouds still hung heavy, casting a dull light over the sleepy town. His truck's engine was dead silent now, an ominous contrast to the rumble it should have carried across the highway. He glanced at the garage door, nailed shut weeks ago. No one had been able to fix his rig for good. Not here. Locals gave him wearied looks when he passed, whispering about bad luck and the curse. A mechanic's failure was more than just a missed repair. It was a mark on the town's strange history. Jack had heard the stories before, but dismissed them as superstition. His army years had taught him to rely on facts, not folklore. Still, the pattern gnawed at him. He thought back to Earl, the man everyone called the town drunk, but who once was the best mechanic in Hawkins Hollow. Jack had watched Earl slip into ruin over the years, drowning in bitterness and loss. Yet the night before, Earl's words haunted him. "They want you stuck here." Jack knew the man was broken, but something in that voice had urgency. It wasn't madness. Someone was working against him. Determined to find answers, Jack started asking around in quiet tones, careful not to attract too much attention. At the diner, the waitress avoided his gaze when he asked about the garage owner. At the gas station, a young man warned him to leave before he got in trouble, but it was the old mechanic's shop, now abandoned, that held the clues Jack needed. The place smelled of grease and dust, with tools scattered and parts left half-finished. Underneath a loose floorboard, Jack found a bundle of documents, receipts, bills for expensive repairs, and suspicious charges from a scrapyard miles away. The handwriting matched that of the garage owner. The pieces clicked. The town's bad luck was no accident. The garage owner was working with a tow truck driver and a scrap supplier to sabotage rigs. Knowing truckers desperate to leave would pay anything for quick fixes, they installed cheap recycled parts designed to fail, trapping drivers in an endless cycle. Jack's pulse quickened. This was more than corruption. It was a trap set to bleed truckers dry in this forgotten place. But exposing the scheme would make powerful enemies. He turned the papers over in his hands, knowing that this fight was only beginning, and that the cost might be far greater than broken trucks. Jack Reynolds knew that exposing the sabotage would not be easy. Hawkins Hollow was small, and the garage owner was deeply entrenched in the town's fragile economy. The tow truck driver and scrap supplier were shadows in the scheme, but their greed made them dangerous. Jack needed allies, but trust was scarce in a place where suspicion thrived. That evening, he returned to the bar where Earl had first whispered the warning. The room was nearly empty, save for a few regulars hunched over their drinks. Earl sat in his usual corner, nursing a bottle and staring into the fading neon lights. Jack approached cautiously. "Earl," Jack said quietly, "I found the paper. There. Running a racket, sabotaging rigs on purpose, then charging for fake repairs." Earl's eyes flickered with a mix of relief and pain. "I've been trying to warn folks for years," he rasped, "but nobody listens to the town drunk. They'd rather believe in curses and bad luck than face the truth." Jack nodded. "We can't let them get away with this, but we'll need proof, and I can't do this alone." Earl looked around the bar nervously. "There's someone else," he whispered. "Old Tom used to be a mechanic too. Left town years ago. Might help if we find him." Jack knew time was running out. His rig could break down again at any moment, and the corrupt trio would be watching. Over the next few days, Jack and Earl carefully pieced together the scheme, collecting receipts, matching repair orders, and noting suspicious tow calls timed perfectly after his breakdowns. The town's whispers grew louder. Some residents warned Jack to back off. Others eyed him with quiet curiosity. But a few, tired of the endless cycle of broken trucks and broken promises, started to offer subtle support. One cold morning, as Jack prepared to leave the bar, a figure appeared at the doorway. A man in his late 50s, rugged and weathered, but with sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Tom, I heard you're stirring up trouble," Tom said, voice low but steady. "Maybe it's time someone did." Jack felt a flicker of hope. With Tom's experience and Earl's knowledge, maybe they could finally bring the truth to light. But they had to act fast, because in Hawkins Hollow, bad luck wasn't just superstition. It was a carefully crafted trap, and those who fell into it rarely escaped. Jack, Earl, and Tom sat around a battered wooden table inside Tom's cramped workshop at the edge of Hawkins Hollow. The dim light flickered overhead as they spread out the evidence. Photocopies of receipts, notes about suspicious tow calls, and pictures of worn-out parts that should have lasted far longer. The air was thick with tension. Each man knew the risk they were about to take. "We have to be smart," Tom said, rubbing his beard. "If the garage owner or the tow truck driver catch wind of what we're doing, they won't hesitate to shut us down." Jack's jaw tightened. His military training kicked in. Planning, strategy, risk assessment. "We need solid proof, something they can't deny. A confession or catching them in the act." Earl grimaced. "I might be able to help there. I still have a few contacts, people who owe me favors before I fell off the wagon. If they're watching rigs, maybe I can get them to slip up." Days passed in a blur of careful surveillance and whispered phone calls. Jack shadowed the garage, noting every tow truck that rolled in and out. Tom inspected parts and vehicles quietly in the dead of night. Earl's contacts kept watch on the scrapyard and reported suspicious activities. One stormy evening, as thunder rattled the windows, Jack's patience paid off. A tow truck appeared near the edge of town, dragging a broken rig. The driver looked familiar. It was the same one who'd been involved in previous sabotages. Jack, hidden in the shadows, saw him open the hood and slip something small and metallic inside the engine. Jack's heart pounded. This was it, the proof they needed. The next day, Jack confronted the garage owner in front of a few town residents. The man's face hardened, eyes flickering with anger and fear. "You don't know what you're messing with," he hissed, but Jack stood firm. "I have the proof. You're sabotaging trucks, ripping off drivers with fake repairs. It ends now." The townsfolk murmured, some nodding, others still unsure. The garage owner's power had kept the town silent for years. Suddenly, Earl stepped forward, voice clear and strong despite years of hardship. "I've been trying to tell you all, but you wouldn't listen." That moment cracked the silence. The truth was out. The garage owner was arrested days later. The tow truck driver and scrap supplier implicated as well. Hawkins Hollow began to heal, its curse lifted, not by superstition, but by courage and truth. Jack stood outside the repaired garage, the rain finally letting up. His rig rumbled smoothly as he prepared to drive away. The town's bad luck was broken, and so was the cycle. But Jack knew this victory was more than mechanical.